Welcome to this video on the Battle of Polotsk. It's a refight of a battle on the flanks of the Grande Armée in the 1812 invasion. The French are defending and the Russians are trying to attack. We're using the excellent Blucher rules. The scenario is taken from the Blucher Hex website, and you'll see the map on the screen. This is on the northern flank on the Grande Armée after the Battle of Borodino, and the French are trying to protect their retreat route and stop the Russians from closing in on all sides on the remnants of the Grande Armée. So this is the flanking force of two French corps trying to defend against the French attack. The village of Polotsk is the main target of the Russians. If they can take that, then they capture the bridge across the Dvina, which is the river you see down at the bottom. The two French corps, there is the Bavarian on the left, and the other side of the stream you have Oudinot's French Second Corps. The French have three entrenchments that can help them to protect their position. The Russians are attacking from the top. They have three corps. They have the advance guard on their right flank, facing the Bavarians. They have Berg in the center column, and they have the left column that is got some difficult terrain, some woods in front of them before they manage to push through. The victory condition for the Russians are to break 7 French units or to capture 3 victory points, so Polotsk plus 2 redoubts. For the French, they need to eliminate 10 Russian units, or if they avoid defeat and survive, that also counts as a French victory. Looking at the forces involved, Second Corps is the strongest French corps on the right. They've got 3 elite units, 2 of them Swiss, and their French line is also skirmish capable, so good at longer range. They're also supported by some very solid cavalry, 2 cuirassier brigades and 2 light cavalry brigades. The Bavarians on the left flank are not as high quality. They've got 6 standard infantry with 1 cavalry supporting. French have 1 artillery which they can allocate to either corps. They have 21 units total, so that gives them a morale 7, so the army will break if they have 7 units eliminated. The Russians are more numerous but have mixed quality, less good. There's quite a few conscripts making up the ranks at this time. So on the Russian right, the advance guard, they've got 6 line infantry and 3 militia that are conscript rated, a light cavalry, and the only artillery unit is on the right flank. In the center, that's their strongest corps. They've got 2 strong infantry units, the Guards and the Grenadiers, and then 6 line brigades. The French cuirassiers with 7 and shock, and 1 light cavalry brigade. On the left flank, they have large quantities but poor quality, grenadiers and 2 line infantry and 5 militia at conscript level, with the light cavalry and the Cossack support. So they have the numbers. They have 30 units, giving them a morale of 10, but a lot of these units are conscript or weak, and therefore not as strong on average as the French units. We are using 6mm Napoleonics, which look good for the Blucher scale, where each unit is a brigade. These are Adler miniatures, which are definitely excellent 6mm Napoleonics, the best. Really detailed figures and easy to paint. The basing is inspired by Little Legions. They did a great video on their Austrian 6mm armies, and that inspired me to rebase all of my 6mm Napoleonics. The battlefield is 6 foot by 4 foot. This is the view from the Russian left flank. You can see the Russian army spread out in a line away from the camera. The French are on the opposite side in a semicircle defensive position, centered on the 3 redoubts that they have. The French are nearest the camera, and across the stream are the Bavarians. You can see the French has a few units in reserve. This is the view from behind the French lines. You can see the entrenchment with the infantry next to it, artillery next to the entrenchment, and the division of cuirassiers in reserve behind the main line. In the first turn, the Russians move their right flank corps up as fast as it will go against the Bavarians. The units coming out of the difficult can only move 1 base width, so they are very slow. The units on the right flank coming over the hill are faster and move 2 base widths. The French response is to move their cuirassier division right, and to prepare all of their infantry that is not facing the Russian artillery on the left and right flanks, but not in the center. Turn 3, and the Russian prioritizes the advance of the right flank against the Bavarians again. Units entering the difficult can only move 1 base width. The others in the open are able to move 2 base widths forward. They're staying at skirmish range in order to be able to engage the enemy as a line. See the artillery over by the lake, now in a position to fire on the French across the stream. French turn 4, the light cavalry push forward in order to keep the Russian left flank pinned. The cuirassiers are pulled back into the center. The infantry next to the river that were facing the Russian artillery pull back outside of canister range, and the Bavarians open up with skirmish fire across their entire frontage, but don't do very much damage. 1 French division starts to cross the river to bring support to the Bavarians. With the Russian right flank now in firing range, they can move forward their left flank. So the entire left flank corps moves forward, advancing out of the wood. The cavalry at the front in order to screen the infantry against the French cavalry. The Bavarians start to suffer skirmish fire casualties from the more numerous Russian soldiers shooting at them. In the French turn, the light cavalry pull back, and the cuirassiers move over to support them in order to counter the Russian left flank corps that is now pouring out of the woods. The Bavarians continue their skirmish fire on the Russian formations and are joined by 1 French unit in support. The Russian had moved their artillery to within canister range of the French infantry across the river. However, this means they're also in skirmish range, and the French got the first shot in. With very lucky rolling, they managed to roll 2 6s with 4 dice against the Russian artillery and disable the battery, forcing them to retreat from the battlefield without even firing a shot. A great start for the French. Russian turn 7, and the Russians continue their attrition fire on the Bavarian line. The command is used to move the left flank corps forwards, and the cavalry lead the way, exiting from the woods, and the infantry follow en masse behind. For the first time, there is enough command to move the center forwards, but all of these units stay out of canister and skirmish range of the French. They don't want to engage prematurely at skirmish range. Some of the Bavarian units are now suffering some serious attrition, having suffered several rounds of skirmish fire outnumbered. French turn 8 and they shoot back from the Bavarians. The cuirassiers split, one supporting the center, the other brigade moving over to support their light cavalry division against the emerging Russians. Russian turn 9 and the steady advance of the left flank corps continues. The cavalry go wide in order to prevent the French charging the infantry before they have formed up. The infantry advancing column, they are staying beyond skirmish fire of the French so that they can move into position in full strength before they start their attack. One of the leading Russian brigades pulls back to give the Cuirassier brigade a clear line of sight to the French artillery, and they launch a fierce charge on the French artillery. The attrition is now wearing down the Bavarian infantry. The leftmost unit has only one strength left, and there are two other units, the one in the entrenchment and the one next door, that have suffered 3 casualties each, so now at only half strength. The Russian cuirassiers roll 8 dice against the French 4 dice, and even though they only get 2 hits, the French only get 1, so are doubled, and the French horse artillery is eliminated. The Bavarians pull back their damaged unit from the line and bring up a fresh French reserve brigade to cover the whole. The French deal with the Russian cuirassiers that took out their artillery by forming square in front of the cuirassiers, and then 3 brigades open fire. Even though they're at skirmish range without the bonus, they shoot very effectively, managing to score 4 hits, bringing the cuirassiers down to a strength of 2, effectively putting them out of the battle. The French fire is starting to wear down the Russian units on the right flank as well, with 2 of them suffering 3 hits. Russian turn 11, and the left flank is finally turned into line, facing the French and ready to attack next turn. The attack goes in a little earlier against the marsh, with 4 brigades against 2 French brigades. The attrition fire against the Bavarians continues. In particular, there are now 2 very weak units holding the entrenchment and the supporting on the entrenchment's left flank. French turn 12 and the right flank line up their charges for next turn when the Russians assault. The infantry in the center opens fire at skirmish range on the attacking Russians. On the left flank, the French pull back their weakened units from the entrenchment and bring in reserves in order to hold the line. On the Bavarian flank, the Bavarian cavalry moves up to plug the hole in the extreme left of the line, and effective shooting destroys 1 Russian brigade, creating a hole in the Russian line. In the Russian turn 13, the entire Russian left flank and center presses forward, getting to within volley range of the French, where they're far more effective. They are equal to the French at volley range, but they have a big disadvantage at skirmish range. The cavalry are standing off against the French light cavalry closest to us on the extreme left flank of the army. On the Russian right flank, the attrition fire against the Bavarian continues across the line. French turn 14, and we see the French cavalry counterattack across the line. 3 separate charges declared. Closest to us, the light cavalry charged the Cossacks, and the cuirassiers charged the Russian grenadiers that had moved up and were therefore not in square. In the center, the other cuirassier brigade charges Russian grenadiers as well. On the extreme left flank of the French, the Bavarian light cavalry charges a Russian militia brigade at the foot of the hill. The Russian militia are built of sturdy stuff and fight off the Bavarian cavalry, throwing them back with casualties. The Russians in the center are not quite so successful. They sustain several casualties against the French cuirassiers. On the extreme Russian left flank, the cuirassiers are extremely successful. When they hit the grenadiers, they were rolling 8 dice against the grenadiers' 7 re-rolling hits because they weren't in square, and they managed to inflict 5 casualties on the grenadiers, reducing them to a strength of only 1. The French light cavalry managed to overpower the Cossacks, forcing them back at a casualty of 2. So at the end of turn 14, the casualty count is for the Russians. They have had 1 artillery retired, and they have had 1 artillery brigade destroyed. The French have retired 2 Bavarian brigades and have had 1 French artillery destroyed. So the count is 1-all at the end of turn 14. Russian turn 15, and having moved all their infantry up into range last turn, the Russians open up close-range volley fire across the entire center and left flank against the French. On the right flank, the Russian attrition fire continues successfully against the Bavarians, but the line is now stiffened by a couple of French brigades who are much tougher enemies at skirmish range for the Russians. In the center, the Russian reserves move forward to engage the French across the river. French turn 16, and the light cavalry charge to finish off the grenadiers who are now in square. The French continue their volley fire at close range against the Russians and reorganize in the center to put together a solid line against the advancing Russian reserves. The light cavalry charge wiped out the St. Petersburg Grenadiers. Even though they were in square, they only had 1 strength point left, so they absolutely were going to lose. And so that is now 2 Russian units destroyed for only 1 French. Russian turn 17, and they make a big charge in the center, while the left and right wings continue to engage in attritional fire on the French. The Russian light cavalry on the right wing has now moved successfully behind the lines and down the hill, and is now threatening to destroy the Bavarian cavalry with a charge. In the center, a French brigade is charged by 2 units. One is the Guard, who were in front of them. The second is the Dragoons. The French The Russian infantry near the pond moved over in order to open up line of sight for them. Then the dragoons charged forward, so both of those are targeting the fresh French brigade. In the marsh, two Russian brigades charged forward to engage the same French defender, while the rest of the line carries on their attritional volley fire. The Russian charge in the center is fantastically successful, breaking the enemy unit in one charge. The guard advance forward to exploit the gap in the line. The attack on the marsh is a disaster, with the French fighting off both brigades attacking them, inflicting 2 casualties on each, a total of 4, and suffering only 1 in return. 1 French brigade destroyed. For a total, the score is now 2-2 in brigades destroyed. The French continue their attritional fire on the left, but they don't have the command to withdraw the Bavarian light cavalry. In the center, the cuirassiers move forwards in order to threaten the Russian guard and pin them, preventing them from attacking any other units. On the right-hand side, the volley fire continues, with the French getting the upper hand, but the Russians have reserves able to replace the frontline units. On the French left flank, another weakened Russian brigade is destroyed by skirmish fire, bringing the total score to 3-2, with both sides having 2 units retired as well. Russian turn 19, and they continue their remorseless attrition, firing across the front line and bringing in new units to replace the depleted front line. The Russian light cavalry charge the Bavarians on the extreme right. In the center, the the guard goes into square in the face of the cuirassiers and fire upon them, while on the in the marsh, 2 new infantry brigades move forwards to engage the French again. The attack on the Bavarian light cavalry was not successful. Even though it was 6 against 2, it turned out to be just 1 hit on the Bavarians, so they are forced back, not eliminated. In the Bavarian redoubt, the unit is now at only 1 strength due to the accumulated attrition, although the French brigades to its side are strong. French turn 20, and the French is now running out of units to maintain a solid line across his front. He moves the strong French unit into the entrenchment in order to hold that critical victory point, and pulls back the depleted Bavarian unit, although it will find it hard to retire given that the Russian cavalry is now behind the lines and within 2 base width. Turn 21, and the Russian tries to kill off some of the depleted units, recognizing that they are unlikely to be able to take the 3 victory points by the end of the game, with only 5 turns remaining. On the extreme right flank, the Russian light cavalry again charges the Bavarian lights, with a guaranteed elimination since they only have 1 strength at this point. The attrition continues against the French along the line, in particular near the marsh and the redoubts. The French are now looking severely depleted after several rounds of volley fire. French turn 22, and the French is now looking to save as many units as possible. It is difficult to save the Bavarians because the Russians are now behind the line and are able to prevent the weak units from withdrawing. In the center, the French line is still strong, with 3 brigades holding the line successfully. Near the marsh, it looks weaker, and the volley fire attrition continues, with the cuirassiers blocking holes to hold up the Russian advance. Russian turn 23, and that means after this there would only be 3 turns for the Russian remaining, so they have to complete their kills. So they charge in against the Bavarians with a guaranteed elimination on that brigade. In the center, the firefight eliminates 1 other French unit, bringing the total count for French casualties to 5. Turn 24, and the French continue the fight, shooting wherever they can, particularly around the left flank redoubt. The French have 3 strong brigades that inflict damage on the Russians. The French cuirassiers charge the dragoons that were screening the Russian infantry in the center. Russian turn 25, and the Russians need 2 more kills in order to win. They identify the 2 targets that they will take out. The Swiss brigade that has been fighting heroically in the entrenchments in the French center has now been isolated and surrounded. So 3 Russian brigades charge in simultaneously from all sides in order to ensure its elimination. Similarly, on the other flank, we have a weakened French brigade that gets charged from 3 sides as well in order to ensure that it is eliminated too. And with that, the Battle of Polotsk is over, a victory to the Russians with 2 of their turns remaining. A very close run thing. Some critical dice rolls had gone either way, then it would have been a French victory, with them being able to hold the line. The French fought well when they were in skirmish range. If asked, debriefed on the Russian general what led to the victory, attacking the Bavarians as much weaker than the French units and killing several of them, and attriting them down with steady skirmish fire throughout the game, and pulling over the French reserves over to that side so that they were weakened in the center for the French attack there. But as just a couple of different dice rolls could have gone either way. So a great set of rules and a great battle. Suggest you try it on the scenario, and we will post more videos here from any further games that we have for your amusement.